You are the most important relationship. Before you swipe, text, or worry about being too much, start with you. Grow Therapy helps you build self-worth, set boundaries, and show up as your full self. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. They connect you with thousands of independent licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/booknow to get started. That's growtherapy.com/booknow. growtherapy.com/booknow. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Hey listeners, this is Peter and welcome back to the History Shorts. Today's episode is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the world. Download Podcast Republic today, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today on History Shorts. On the evening of June 10th, 1977, 7 men walked away from Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary in Petros, Tennessee. They had scaled a wall using a makeshift ladder, dropped into the darkness on the other side, and then disappeared into the rugged Cumberland Mountains. It was, by any measure, a bold and well-organized escape from one of the most forbidding prisons in the American South. One of those 7 men was none other than James Earl Ray, the man convicted of assassinating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He would be free for the next 54 hours. Today's History Brief covers some recent history news. A quick word from our sponsors.
This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife, feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. For too long, women's serious midlife health issues have been trivialized, ignored, and met with a just deal with it attitude. Many of us have been made to feel ashamed or forgotten. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But here's the powerful truth. It's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI is not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic, founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. What sets MIDI apart? We are the only women's telehealth brand covered by major insurance companies, making high-quality expert care accessible and affordable. Our clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. We offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions, from hormonal therapies and weight loss protocols to lifestyle coaching and preventative health guidance. This isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will join our patients who feel seen, heard, and prioritized. You will find that our mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the health care they deserve. Because we believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
This day in history. On March 29, 1974, Chinese farmers digging a well uncovered what would become one of the most extraordinary archaeological discoveries of the 20th century: the Terracotta Army, thousands of life-sized clay soldiers built to guard the tomb of China's first emperor. On March 29, 1867, the United States formally purchased Alaska from Russia for $7.2 million, a deal critics at the time initially mocked as Seward's folly, but one that would later prove enormously valuable. Story of the day. James Earl Ray was born in 1928 in Alton, Illinois, into a family defined by poverty, instability, and a rootless kind of mid American hardship that characterized the lives of millions during the Depression era. He was not by any clinical measure a sophisticated man. He was a small time criminal, a burglar, a robber, a forger, whose record of arrests and convictions stretched back to the late 1940s. He escaped from the Missouri State Penitentiary in 1967, having served time for armed robbery, and then spent the following year living under assumed names, drifting through the United States, Mexico, and Canada. By most accounts, Ray was not a man of strong ideological conviction in any organized sense. He was racist, casually, unremarkably so, in the way that was neither unusual nor especially remarked upon in the environments that he had inhabited in his entire life. What drove him in the months between his escape from Missouri and the spring of 1968 remains, even now, not entirely clear. What is clear is where he was on April 4th, 1968. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was standing on the second floor balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, when a single rifle shot struck him in the jaw and neck at 6:01 in the evening. He was pronounced dead at St. Joseph's Hospital 1 hour later. He was 39 years old. The shot had come from the bathroom window of a rooming house across the street, a window with a direct sightline to the Lorraine Motel balcony. Ray had rented a room there that afternoon under a false name. He fled immediately after firing, abandoning a bundle of evidence, the rifle, binoculars, a radio, personal items, in the doorway of a nearby storefront before driving out of Memphis in his white Mustang. What followed was one of the largest manhunts in FBI history. Ray crossed into Canada, obtained a Canadian passport under yet another assumed name, then flew to London, traveled to Lisbon, returned to London, and was finally arrested at Heathrow Airport on June 8, 1968, 65 days after the assassination, attempting to board a flight to Brussels carrying a forged Canadian passport. He was extradited to the United States, returned to Tennessee, and on March 10, 1969, in a proceeding that lasted less than 33 hours, pleaded guilty to the first-degree murder of Martin Luther King Jr. He was sentenced to 99 years in the Tennessee State Penitentiary. 3 days later, he recanted. The recantation was the beginning of a legal and political saga that would consume the remaining 30 years of Ray's life and cast a long, unresolved shadow over the official account of King's assassination. Ray claimed, consistently and for the rest of his life, that he had not acted alone. He described a mysterious figure called Raoul, a man who had, according to Ray, recruited him, funded his movements in the year before the assassination, and then set him up as the patsy for a conspiracy that he had not fully understood until it was too late. He sought repeatedly and unsuccessfully to withdraw his guilty plea and obtain a trial at which he could present his account to a jury. The claim was taken seriously by some and dismissed by others. A House Select Committee on Assassinations, which investigated both the King and Kennedy assassinations in the late 1970s, concluded in 1979 that Ray had fired the shot that killed King, but also that there was likely a conspiracy involved, possibly organized by Ray's brothers and associates with a financial motive. The committee did not resolve the question conclusively, though. No one ever has. What the conspiracy claims did, regardless of the truth, was keep Ray at the center of an ongoing national argument at a moment when the country was still processing the grief and fury of 1968. He was not simply a convicted murderer serving his time. He was, in the minds of many Americans, particularly in the black community, a symbol of everything that had been taken and never accounted for. And he was, in the minds of others, a man whose unresolved legal status represented either a miscarriage of justice or a deliberately buried truth. It was in this charged atmosphere that in 1977, Ray was transferred to Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, a maximum security facility carved into the mountains of Morgan County, Tennessee, with a reputation as one of the toughest prisons in the South. Brushy Mountain had opened in 1896 and had been housing the state's most dangerous inmates ever since. Its physical setting was itself a form of security. As I mentioned, surrounded by dense forest and mountainous terrain that made flight, in theory, nearly impossible. Escapes were rare. Successful escapes were almost unheard of. Ray and 6 other inmates spent months planning their departure. They constructed a ladder from materials gathered inside the prison: pipes, wire, whatever they could obtain and conceal. On the night of June 10th, 1977, they made their move, scaling the prison wall and dropping into the woods on the other side. The manhunt was immediate. Bloodhounds were brought in. The Tennessee National Guard was placed on alert. Law enforcement from multiple agencies spread through the Cumberland Mountains. Given the terrain, steep, heavily wooded, cut through with hollows and ridges, the search was genuinely difficult for the police. Ray and one companion managed to stay ahead of the searchers for 54 hours, covering approximately 8 miles of rough mountain terrain before they were found, exhausted and scratched from the undergrowth, by a search party on June 13th. Ray offered no resistance. He was returned to Brushy Mountain, and 1 year was added to his already effectively lifelong sentence. He never came close to freedom again. Ray spent the remainder of his imprisonment continuing to insist on his innocence, or at least on the incompleteness of the official account. In 1997, in a development that briefly reignited public debate, the King family met with Ray and publicly stated their belief that he had not acted alone, that a larger conspiracy had been responsible for the assassination, and that Ray had been, at least in part, a scapegoat. They called for a new investigation. It did not materialize in any meaningful form. James Earl Ray died in prison on April 23, 1998, of liver failure related to hepatitis C. He was 69 years old. He had served 29 years of his 99-year sentence. The full truth of what happened in Memphis on April 4th, 1964, who planned it, who funded it, who knew, has never been established to the satisfaction of everyone who has looked at the evidence. The official account holds that Ray acted with at most limited assistance. The doubts have never entirely gone away. What is not in doubt is that a gray man was killed on a motel balcony in Tennessee. The man convicted of killing him spent the rest of his life insisting the story was more complicated than the one that the world had been told. And then, in the summer of 1977, he ran. Not toward anything in particular, just into the mountains and into the dark, as though 54 hours of freedom in the wilderness might somehow make right a history that nothing in the end could undo. The History Brief. Today, for some history news, we're headed to the mountains of Utah, where archaeologists recently uncovered something unusual from the Wild West era: a 150-year-old bottle of alcohol that was still full and still drinkable. The bottle was discovered during excavations at Alta Ski Area, about 30 miles east of Salt Lake City. Construction crews were installing new snowmaking pipes when a scoop of dirt revealed a dark green glass bottle that was remarkably intact. Even more surprising, it still had its original cork sealed inside, and liquid still sloshing around within it. Archaeologists believe the bottle dates from sometime between 1870 and 1890, when Alta was a booming silver mining town. In fact, the bottle likely came from the settlement's old Water Street, once a bustling mining camp, before an avalanche and fire destroyed much of the town in 1885. Finding a bottle with liquid still inside is extraordinarily rare. According to Utah archaeologists, it's the first time a full bottle of alcohol has ever been recovered from an archaeological site in the state. Usually, corks rot away or bottles break long before they can be preserved underground. But the biggest question remained: what exactly was inside? To find out, archaeologists brought in a modern expert, Isaac Winter, director of distilling at High West Distillery in Park City. With a mixture of curiosity and caution, Winter took the first sip of the 19th century beverage. His verdict? The drink was fruity, with a little bit of leather, he said, and thankfully it didn't smell anything like gasoline or tobacco spit, two unpleasant possibilities that the team had joked about beforehand. Further testing suggests the mysterious beverage was likely made from apples, meaning it may have been some kind of early hard cider produced during Alta's mining boom. Researchers are now studying the liquid more closely and even hope to recreate the recipe someday. And the discovery offers more than just a strange tasting note from the past. It provides a glimpse into the everyday life in a rough and tumble frontier town, where miners working in the shadow of the Rocky Mountains apparently enjoyed carefully crafted drinks rather than the crude firewater we thought they did. Archaeologists working at this site have already uncovered 5 to 6,000 artifacts, including tools, dishes, bottles, and even a leather cap likely used as a miner's headlamp. But this bottle, still corked and full after more than a century, may be the most personal find of all. After all, it's not every day that historians get a chance to literally taste a piece of the past. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today and helping make this little show such a mighty success. If you are enjoying this show and would like to help with its production, you can always donate a few dollars at buymeacoffee.com or become a Patreon member to enjoy these episodes ad-free. Both links can be found on our website at www.historyshortspodcast.com. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.
You know what's wild? Most people are still overpaying for car insurance just because it's a pain to switch. That's why there's Jerry. Jerry's the only app that compares rates from over 50 insurers in minutes and helps you switch fast with no spam calls or hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Before you renew your car insurance policy, do yourself a favor. Download the Jerry app or head to jerry.ai/Libsyn. That's JERRY.ai/LIBSYN.